Welcome back. We're getting into book one now. Oh my, diving deep into Blake's mythology. Going to be so many terms coming up. The scene is London. It's fourfold London, which means looking at the city from four different perspectives. From the very ordinary to viewing it as an imaginary city, or rather I should say a city of imagination, to an eternal city. This city and all its citizens are a work in progress. The progression in it is from an ordinary way of looking at things to an imaginary way, so that people can reach their potential. In this London, there's an area called Golgonooza, and this is the area where people are raised up through art to go through the different levels. Albion, I better say here, is, as they used to say years ago in the days of the British Empire, God is an Englishman. So here, this is how Blake portrays God. And he has become a cropper. Things have gone wrong, and they need to be put right. In Golgonooza, one of his sons is called Los, and his emanation, which is his feminine part, is called Enetharmon. In Golgonooza, Los works as a forge, which is the forge of the imagination, to do his part, while his emanation is working next door, and what she's doing is weaving new life as he works the imagination. So, Los has sons. He has four of them. There's Rintra, Palamabron, and two more that we get to. Now, we need, in a way, to look on this London as it was in Blake's day. The Industrial Revolution had come along all right, but still, you didn't walk far in London before you reached the country. So it was a combination of the two. And what Blake is saying here is the work of his four sons is explained in agricultural terms, that they're ploughing up and creating a harvest of new individuals. So I hope that helps as we get into the reading, and perhaps I'll say something at the end if there are pieces that still need an explanation. Three classes are created by the hammer of Los, and woven from Golgonooza, the spiritual fourfold London eternal, in immense labours and sorrows, ever building, ever falling, through Albion's four forests, which overspread all the earth from London Stone to Blackheath East, to Hounslow West, to Finchley North, to Norwood South, and the weights of Enetharmon's loom, playing lulling cadences on the winds of Albion, from Caithness in the north to Lizard Point and Dover in the south. Loud sounds the hammer of Los, and loud his bellows is heard, before London to Hampstead's breadths and Highgate's heights, to Stratford and Old Bow, and across to the gardens of Kensington on Tyburns Brook. Loud groans Thames beneath the iron forge of Rintra and Palamabron, of Theotormon and Bromion, to forge the instruments of harvest, the plough and harrow to pass over the nations. The Surrey hills glow like the clinkers of the furnace. Lambeth's Vale, where Jerusalem's foundations began, where they were laid in ruins, from every nation the oak groves rooted. Dark gleams before the furnace mouth, a heap of burning ashes. When shall Jerusalem return and overspread all the nations? Return, return to Lambeth's Vale, O building of human souls. Thence stony Druid temples overspread the island white, and thence from Jerusalem's ruins, from her walls of salvation and praise, through the whole earth were reared, from Ireland to Mexico and Peru west, and east to China and Japan, till Babel, the spectre of Albion, frowned over the nations in glory and war. All things begin and end in Albion's ancient Druid rocky shore, but now the starry heavens are fled from the mighty limbs of Albion. Loud sounds the hammer of Los, loud turn the wheels of Enitharmon. Her looms vibrate with soft affections, weaving the web of life out from the ashes of the dead. Los lifts his iron ladles with molten ore. He heaves the iron cliffs in his rattling chains, from Hyde Park to the almshouses of Mile End and Old Bow. Here the three classes of mortal men take their fixed destinations, and hence they overspread the nations of the whole earth, and hence the web of life is woven, and the tender sinews of life created, and the three classes of men regulated by Los's hammer, and woven by Enitharmon's looms, and spun beneath the spindle of Tirzah. The first, the elect from before the foundation of the world. The second, the redeemed. The third, the reprobate, and formed to destruction from the mother's womb. Follow with me my plough. So, that was a mouthful. So, we have Albion then, who's our anglicised god living in eternity, which is Blake's heaven, and all is well until there's a split in his being, which had been hermaphrodite. And what happens now is the female part splits off. That's his emanation. And Albion's emanation is called Jerusalem. And so long as Jerusalem is separated, the Druid age takes control in England. It's violent pagan religion. When an emanation leaves the being, a spectre arises out of its back. The spectre is, in a sense, a bit like Hamlet's ghost, except in this case, it's not yearning for revenge. It's yearning for the rejoining of the female with the male, and spends all its time then looking for it. And the female, of course, does not want to return, because the female wants to hold on to her individuality and be a free agent. Tirzah is from the Bible. It's a story of Tirzah and her sisters, and basically it's about looking for an inheritance that would usually only go to male offspring. But they ask Moses that their validity, you might say, would be recognized, and Moses gave it to them. So Blake then uses Tirzah as a kind of a peg for female freedom, independence. So, I think that's enough for one video. Thank you very much for listening. Bye for now.